Oh, Bryn. Hi.
Were you crying? Are you okay?
Yes. The rite of ashes just got to me, that's all. The spindle and the axle only had such a brief time together.
It's awful. I can't imagine how she's feeling right now.
So much in life can be fleeting. It just makes you appreciate what a gift the time you have with someone is.
All this time, the spindle was sneaking out of Cassidy's hold. And I had no idea.
Sounds like you two had more in common than you realized.
Just reminds me that you've got to tell people how you feel when you get the chance.
Was there something you wish you had told the spindle?
Just how much I appreciated her level head and expertise. And that we all knew her father wasn't why she was the spindle.
You performed the Rite of Ashes beautifully, Bryn.
Glad to hear it. Not being part of the church myself, I felt a little out of place.
I'm sure Isla is at peace.
A religion founded on fire seems like a natural draw for weavers. Was that your experience in Renland?
Hardly. In Renland, magic was ostracized. And there, it was viewed as unnatural corruption of fire. Pure ignorance. That's why I've turned my back on it for many years. But you're right, that the Stanel family's religious beliefs are notable. The prominence of the church in Upper Denevron suggests the weavers here held it in high regard.
The Eye asked me to collect the ashes from the altar on his behalf. What does he intend to do with them?
It depends on the sect. But often the ashes from the ritual are interred with the body in a burial site. Other times, if it's a prominent family, which the Stanels seem to be, the ashes are housed in a family mausoleum. Tragic, of course, that a father must do this for his child instead of the other way around.
The rite I read mentioned shrouding the spindle in an eternal warmth. Is that in reference to an afterlife?
Yes, although the Reformed sect do believe in an afterlife, it is featured more prominently in Orthodox Hallowpire beliefs. The idea being that the Great Fire is an ethereal, divine being which cannot be fully comprehended in this life, and who waits for its followers beyond this lifetime.
I appreciate your perspective on it, but I'd better let you get back to work.
Before you go, thank you for laying her to rest. You could have just paid your respects and left, but it was the right thing to do.
Bryn. And Lane? To what do I owe the pleasure?
We're hoping that there's something you can help us with. Or rather, we're hoping that there's something we can help you with.
I'm not sure I follow.
I've been at a loose end, gnawing on painful thoughts, only growing more despondent in the process.
Huh.
So we're here to focus on problems that are a little more tangible. What can we help you with?
That is very kind of you. I've had a great deal of difficulty keeping on top of things.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We're here to help. Like I said.
Right. I've got a petition from the scouts here somewhere. Let me find it. Arakim has been nagging me about accessing the Archon's Hearth. Its stores of raw material could busy our Forge Masters for months. Now that I'm technically in charge, I'm loath to follow Kenrick's lead in recklessly sending the scouts into dangerous situations. What I'm lacking to make that call is intelligence on the Archon's Hearth. Our documentation is decades out of date.
I've already spent a lot of time in there, actually. It was pretty hot, from what I recall.
Dangerous too, one would assume. Can you elaborate on what you saw in there?
The most interesting part was where they grew the coral. I could feel the magic running through it.
It is a reminder that there are still lost secrets to be found.
Exactly. While exploring where the arcs were assembled, I couldn't help but imagine how busy it must have been back before the surge. Archons seem big when I'm fighting them, but the scale feels totally different when they're attached to a scaffold.
Fascinating.
Well, it was only one area that was particularly hot, but all of it was dangerous.
I assume you refer to the Arcane Foundry, then?
Yeah. It was on another level to what you've got here at the Hold, or what we have at camp. I can't imagine how many Archon parts they produced per day. Anyway, there's lots going on in there. Do you think it's safe enough to send in the scouts?
Not quite. I still have grave concerns about the fluctuating heat levels.
I believe I may have a solution for that. A potion that will maintain your body temperature even in the hottest conditions. I don't quite have the equipment to make it yet, but the knowledge is there.
That's wonderful news. That said, I would like a demonstration to be sure they work.
A fair stipulation. Some sort of combat encounter in the Archon's Hearth under the hottest possible conditions. Fighting an Archon that relies on fire magic would be ideal to demonstrate the potion's efficacy.
You know I'm always up for a challenge.
I have no doubt in your abilities after what I've witnessed you achieve.
Well then, I'll be back once I've felled a mighty construct.
Deserves the spectacle.
more data. That has to be enough. Done?
Yes. Any more comparison points would suffer from diminishing returns. I appreciate your dedication, Brent.
If we ever get this place under control, will you run classes?
Still angling for those coaching pants, huh?
Are you ever gonna let me live that down?
No. No, I am not. The Archon's hearth once more. Wish Isla was here to guide me.
I could assist in her absence.
What the? Aurea, the scry has been compromised by the surgery. Stay off it.
Compromised is such a strong word. I just want to talk. In the Archon's heart. I know the underworlds well. It is my region.
Like I would tell you.
Whatever plans are concocted, it would be better if we worked together.
Murdered my friend.
Technically, I didn't touch her. It isn't my fault she lacked the stamina to follow through on what she started.
Intriguing to think of weaver smiths and priests working side by side down here.
The preachers you grew up with would launch an hour-long diatribe at the very thought, yeah?
How would just be the introduction. magic.
There's a lot of coral here. I must be getting close to where the Enclave stored shaped bars. Will the Surgeborn know our plan when I begin? I guess that's a risk I
Ooh, bar-shaped coral. You and I have such similar taste in treasure. Whatever you're planning to do with that, compared to what we could accomplish if we put our minds together.
I can manage well enough on my own.
So much more than
Is that bottled magma?
I've got one. I can't believe it's still warm. And you can feel the magic pulsing through it.
I wonder if proximity to the coral has affected it in some way.
See those massive pipes running along the roof? Norian design. I recognized them earlier, and they prompted my investigation into the Norians and the Enclave.
I can see why Stanhill chose you as his life. You haven't got a thought about the massive fur.
This should be the place, Bryn. You're looking for tablets with a circle marked by 6 dots. They'll look black, but I'll be able to read them when you bring them back.
Why not bring them to me instead? Think of what we could do.
Pass.
That's one of them, Bryn. I hope they would still be down here.
What should we expect?
The Norians were experimenting without informing the Enclave on the aeronautes. They wanted them to do more than just moderate the weather. They wanted to control it.
Tired of long winters? Gloomy days?
Think bigger. If you control the rain in a desert, you control the land itself.
Too unreliable. Why not just offer incredible power and endless life to the rulers?
The Surgeborn in the Howling Jail somehow has access to the scry.
We know. I can feel it in there with me. It's not pleasant. We need to do something fast.
The good news is, as far as we can tell, it only has access when you're in the underworks. At most, it seems to cause interference when you're above ground. We don't think it can listen in.
Until we can block its presence, best to keep use of the scry to a minimum.
Let's hear it. How bad is all this?
The scry is a complex piece of Weaver enchantment. That this Surgeborn has broken in is not good.
We still don't know exactly what it wants, but if it continues to infiltrate our constructs, this could mean an all-out war.
War?
Imagine they gain control of the Enclave's arcs. Sure, they're dangerous now, but with a sentient strategist behind them, they could storm the Maida in a couple of hundred strides.
You think the Surgeborn's interests expand beyond the Enclave?
With an enemy as calculated as this, best to assume the worst.
Weavers need a physical connection to the scry to communicate, either by wearing the earpiece or touching the scroll. The Surgeborn doesn't have either, so how is it connecting to our scry?
Well, let's start with what we know. The imprisoned Talon was able to convince Stanold to open the gate. But the Herald was there and waiting. It was not surprised at all, despite the Scout's distractions. Ergo, the Herald and Talon were communicating somehow, yet the Talon had been imprisoned for years. Would it not be reasonable to suggest the Surgeborn can communicate with one another using something like our scry? Or worse, perhaps they can share thoughts needing no magic at all.
A single shared consciousness.
The implications are frankly staggering, but it is the only explanation I can think of for what we've observed. And if I'm correct, it's not such a leap to imagine creatures like this, or perhaps a creature, would be capable of infiltrating our scry.
Aurea, I could feel the Surgeborn too. I know exactly what you mean.
Doesn't feel great.
The kind of nausea that only comes from the wind being knocked out of you.
It takes a lot out of me to stay connected to you when it's present, let alone speak.
That must be why there's interference.
What you're both describing, it makes me wonder if the Eye was under a deeper influence from the Surgeborn than we realized.
How so?
We assumed he was merely manipulated into a foolhardy plan, but what if the Surgeborn had some sort of effect on his mind?
I could believe it. But if that's the case, then we need to limit Bryn's exposure to it through the scry. Fast.
And yours.
I don't think it's me the Surgeborn wants to influence. From the sounds of it, it wants you.
All right. How are we going to fix this?
The reason Aurea can sense the Surgeborn presence on the scry is likely because it's wielding magic to communicate. The same way Aurea's mantle pulls magic from the air to contact you. However, unlike Aurea, the Surgeborn can't pull magic from the air around it. Otherwise, it would be talking to you all the time.
But it can only reach me when I'm underground.
Where the tangles are most dense. We need to cut off its access to raw magic.
That's where the spindle comes in. Thanks to her, we finally have the missing piece to get our escort here running.
It was a failsafe in the case that the source needed to be repaired. The Arc of Verdance will create a safe bubble against the tangles, which would be the natural consequence of any failure of the source.
Just like it did with the Veil.
Exactly. But without the crushing weight that caused it to fail.
So, the plan. We get the Arc to the source, it stabilizes the Enclave.
Or at the very least, starts the process.
If the Herald waiting down there doesn't destroy it first, I'll need to take it down, if this plan is going to work.
That sounds dangerous.
It might be a risk worth taking.
We have to. The Enclave is overflowing with raw magic, and this source is clearly the root of the problem. Too many tangles have led to the floods. They allow the Surgeborn to communicate and infect our enchantments. Without the source under control, we will never reclaim the Enclave.
Then that's our plan. We build a power core, then we speak to the Axel.
I'll join you at Cassidon's Hold.